My GF was raped and became pregnant. I broke up with her because she wanted to keep the baby. So 2 months ago, my GF was raped. It was done in a park. She didn't want to report it and went into a full breakdown, wouldn't speak to police, go to hospital, etc. I couldn't force her, so I just stayed with her. She was obviously in a really shit state since, and I've been with her by her side, listening to her, helping her. We went to therapy and she knows I'm there for her. She has a history of depression and I've been really worried. Last week we found out she was pregnant. I was abroad for 2 months before the rape on work and can back early to care for her, so the baby definitely isn't mine. She is 100% sure it's the rapist's. So we had a discussion. She is a devout Catholic. We initially decided on an abortion, but after she spoke to her mother, she has decided to keep the baby, saying that isn't the baby's fault. I flat out told her that I would not help raise a baby of a guy who raped her. She cried and begged me not to leave. I told she is the one making the choice. Either she keeps the baby and I leave, or she aborts the baby and I stay. I would not let this go. She didn't want either of those things to happen, so I told her we were done. I feel shit. Was I wrong? Update 1, I'll post the update first, since there has been some change since I last posted. Then I'll respond to some general points made from the last thread and the ton of PMs I received. Yesterday I received a call from my GF. She was crying and she begged me to listen to her. I told her that I still care for her, and that I'll obviously listen to what she has to say. She told me that a few days after I told her we were done, she called up her mother to talk about this. Apparently, what happened before was that she was pretty much decided on aborting, but then when she spoke to her mother told her that under no accounts should she abort, and that I was actually manipulating her to do so. Her mother went on to say that if she aborted the child, she would no longer consider my GF as her daughter. After I left her, my GF called her mom up to talk about what went on. My GF said that she desperately wanted to abort the baby, and her mother again said that if she does so, this is the last time they will ever speak again. My GF said she broke down on the phone, and her mother kept asking her what she will do. The conversation then ended when my GF said she didn't know. Then she started texting. After a few hours of thinking, my GF sent her mom a text saying she was going to abort. She was then blocked. My GF then called me and told me everything. She will be having an abortion in 3 weeks. I discussed this with my GF, and we both completely agreed that I had not manipulated her in any way, and that she appreciated that I put my foot down, because had I not, she would have had a baby who would remind her of the worst time of her life. Her words, not mine. She further went on to say that I am the best thing that has ever happened to her, and that she knew that even if she no longer had a mum, if she had me, she could get through this. I broke down at this point. I love her so much. In truth, I probably would have gone back to her and raised the baby with her, even though I knew I'd resent it. I made the original thread to get some backing rather than anything, to see if I had made the right decision. I'm so relieved things had turned out the way they have. Also, screw any mother who places religion over their own child. Friggin' lunatics. Now to respond to some of your points from the last thread. 1. No. My GF did not cheat on me. I'm almost certain about this. Not only because she had the conscience of a fragile angel, but also because we both know each other's schedules really well, and we often talk to friends who can corroborate timings. Moreover, her roommate took photos of my GF after she came home assaulted. It's not rough sex, as some of you dicks put it. 2. I don't give a rat's arse if you think abortion is a sin or the killing of a baby. Come and raise the baby, or give us money to raise the baby, or hire us a live-in maid to tend to my GF's every need while she pregnant, if you're so sanctimonious. Talk the talk, then walk the walk, you wanking tit baboons. 3. My GF was absolutely clear she wanted to raise the baby, probably influenced by the mum. 4. Thanks for all the people telling me I did the right thing. It was really difficult. I'm very glad it turned out the way it has, though. 5. To the people who PM'd me telling me I'm a monstrous baby killer, I fail to see what my hobbies have to do with this issue. Thanks, Reddit. Update 2, I was hoping to post here again after the abortion, still scheduled for 2 weeks' time, but I thought I should provide an update on some recent events from a mother from the pits of Satan's rectum. On Saturday, I answered my door and stood face to face with 2 police officers. They asked me if I was who I was, and I replied I was. They then said they were looking for my GF. I called her over, and the police officer said that he needs to have a word with her. The officers then split, one taking the GF to the living room, we let them in, and the other took me into my bedroom. The officer who took me started asking me questions about how long GF had been here, if she had any contact with anyone else, if she had left the house at all, and a few other questions. I answered, and then asked what this was about, but the officer just said they received a report to check in on GF. I asked who reported, and the officer said he couldn't say. After a while, the other officer was done, and they both left. The moment they left, my GF told me that she was outrightly asked if she was in danger and if I had been hurting her. She was also asked if she was being held against her will. She said no to everything, of course. She said that the police received a call from her mother saying she might be in danger and that I could be abusive her. I was fucking livid. I immediately said I was going to press charges against her. For what? I don't know. Harassment, probably. My GF begged me to not and said that it would all just blow over and that she just needs time to calm down. DUTF? She sent police to my house to get me arrested. How is that sane thinking? I could lose my job if I was arrested and charged. What the hell is she thinking? I told GF that if the mother does anything like this again, I will definitely press charges. So the GF decides on Sunday to talk to the mum to not do anything like this again. They had a conversation for about 2 minutes, then I start hearing sobs. Immediately, I walked into the room, saw my GF was crying, still holding the phone against her ear. I plucked the phone from her hand and held her for a bit as I heard, "Hello?" from the phone. Then I put it on me and said, "You're a disgrace of a mother," and hung up. Then I held the GF for what felt like an hour before we started talking. Apparently, the mother was telling GF how if she continues with the abortion, she will never see the mother again, or her brother, or her deceased father, who is in heaven, even though he died a drink-violent alcoholic who beat GF. But hey, repent your sins at death, Amy, right? Because GF would be going to damnation. I told GF that if she was going to hell, then she should save me a seat, and we'd be nice and toasty together. I love her smile. What do you think, if anything, should I do about the mother? No doubt my words to her will have some reactions. Response to some people from previous threads and PMs after thread was locked. 1. Abortion was never an option. GF was adamant she wanted to raise the baby, influenced by her mother. And if you suggest adoption anyway, then you truly do not understand just how taxing a normal pregnancy is, let alone one dipped in a beautiful cocktail of rape depression. 2. You can believe my GF cheated on me if that makes you feel better about your lives, I suppose. Just FYI, the pictures and roommate's report showed she had a bloodied nose, black eyes, cuts and bruises against her arms, hands and knees, torn coat and top, bruises around her neck. Cheating. Right. Edit. 3. My GF and I are still going to therapy about all of this. Update 3. I just wanted to update folk on this whole saga. This will be my final update. A few days ago, the abortion was carried out. During the weeks beforehand, my GF went to a counselor and talked to a nurse about why she wanted an abortion. She was also tested for any STIs. She's clear. She went ahead with the abortion after getting the all clear. A few days ago, it was successfully carried out. They went for the surgical abortion method, which involved using a vacuum to suck the pregnancy out. GF said it was pretty painless, and she was able to return home after just a few hours. When she came home, she cried and cried and cried. She says she feels like a huge weight had been lifted, and she can finally look to moving on with her life. We took the whole week of work, and yesterday we went camping. It rained. While in the tent, she talked about how difficult life was sometimes, but she was really glad things turned out the way they did, because even though things were bad, she came out the other side, probably stronger than before. She's amazing, man. Seriously. Update on the mum. So my GF received a call from her mum, who was asking if she went through with the abortion. My GF and I have an agreement that if mum calls, either hang up or give it to me. In this instance, she answered, didn't know what to say, and gave it to me. I told the mum that the abortion went perfectly, and smiled as she cursed at me for about a minute. I then said, "How Jesus of you," at which point she hung up. My GF didn't find it funny. Anyway, that's it. Good luck to everyone in their lives. Also, if you're going to message and insult me via PM, just be warned, I've killed a baby before. Story 2. My 29F husband, 31M, got a paternity test on our daughter, 5F, and it came back negative, but I never cheated. Now he thinks our relationship is a lie and wants to divorce. What do? I don't know how it happened, and I haven't been able to stop crying all day. I never cheated. I love my husband. We've been together since college, and he's the love of my life. He's handsome and kind, and while I've slept with 2 other people, both were before we got together. There is no other potential father for our daughter. We were married already and actively trying for a baby. I never cheated, I never would cheat, and I don't know why he took that stupid test because I would never ever cheat. But it came back negative and now he thinks he's not her dad. I don't know how to convince him it was a faulty test and I'm so scared. These past few months, it's like he's become someone completely different from the man I married. He's cold and suspicious. He kept demanding to see my phone and wouldn't tell me why, and I showed him at first but eventually told him I wouldn't anymore unless he explained why. He's been distant with our daughter too. He stays in his office for hours on end, and I don't know what he's doing. I did not cheat. He accused me this morning, saying he'd done the test after realizing that our daughter's eyes, brown, wouldn't naturally come from ours, both blue, and that he wanted me to get out of the house. I didn't leave and he locked me out of our bedroom and now I'm in my daughter's room. This is terrifying. What should I do? Edit. The specific advice I want is how I can prove I'm innocent and how to make sure this relationship works. I want to keep my family together at all costs. Also, I just had a conversation with my husband. He's out of his room now, and we discussed some things. I told him again that I would never cheat and started talking about a list I made of tests I want done. But he told me that he didn't want to hear it right now. We're going to have a longer conversation tomorrow, and he said that he still loves our daughter, and he won't try to keep me out of the house or our room for now. I asked him to hug me, and he did. I'm scared that I won't be able to convince him. I just want our family to go back to normal. How can I be a good wife and support his needs while proving my innocence? TLDR. My husband confronted me this morning saying our daughter isn't biologically his after a failed paternity test, but I never cheated. Update. Hi everyone. First off, I wanted to thank everyone who reached out. My original post got so much attention, it was hard to get to everything. But I ended up making a list of plans and tests I wanted to get done. My husband was, understandably, distrustful of me for a while, but he apologized for the way he acted, which I didn't need, and said that he wouldn't try to kick me out of our home. He did say, though, that if every test came back and I'd cheated, then he was going to go scorched earth. We did a few tests, blood paternity tests for him and me and our daughter, and we had an appointment with a chimerism specialist coming up, but that got canceled because, well, some of you guessed it, but my daughter is not biologically mine either. I don't know how this happened, but a police officer came to our house and took our statements, and we're suing the hospital where I gave birth. I don't know what happened to my baby, and that is terrifying. I have my husband back, but my whole world was still upended, and I just wish he'd never taken that stupid test. I've been sleeping in my daughter's room, and I'm so afraid that she's going to be taken away from me. But at the same time, I want to know where my biological daughter is, and if she's okay. I pray to God she's okay. My daughter still doesn't know the details, and we've been trying to keep this quiet. The last thing we need is a big scandal. I don't want people who know us to look at her differently. She deserves better than that. She's such a good kid, and she's not some spectacle to be gawked at. If we can find her birth family, I have no idea what we'll do. I guess the best case scenario would be to get a bigger house and all live together, but I don't know if we can afford that, or if they'd go for that, or even if we'll be able to locate them, or if I'm just crazy. This whole situation is crazy. I don't know anyone else who's been in a situation like this. I mean, are there support groups for parents of kids who got mixed up? I Googled and nothing came up. Literally all I'm getting are tabloid articles from trashy magazines that slap the faces of innocent kids on the same pages as celebrity sex scandals and fiction. How do we tell our daughter? I mean, we can't tell her now. She'll tell the kids at school and then it'll be everywhere, but we have to say something. I don't know what I ever did to deserve this. TLDR. My daughter is not biologically mine or my husband's. OP's husband's perspective on everything. Hello, everyone. So, apparently a YouTuber my husband watches called Mark Narrations decided that it would be a fun idea to read my post on his channel. My husband recognized the story because, well, of course he recognized the story. How could he not? This doesn't happen every day. Then he went on my account page. Then he found quite a few comments about him that were not exactly nice. And now, he has asked me for a chance to post his side of the story on this account, so that people stop trashing him. Please be nice. So, I don't know how many of you have been down a self-doubt rabbit hole before, but it's not the most logical place to be. It's even less logical when you have the whole damn internet telling you that your wife is cheating and that she's planning to take the house and take you for all you're worth and never really loved you, and you always sort of thought she was too good for you anyway, so you end up seeing everything as a sign of infidelity, and then you get not one, but two failed paternity tests on your daughter. When COVID happened, I got fat. I got depressed. I stopped feeling like a person. My wife stayed beautiful. She stayed herself. I was sure that she'd made a mistake, that she'd regret being with me. I started getting into some online groups, especially on Reddit, that were full of guys who'd been cheated on, lost custody, lost everything, and when someone said that his tip-off was that he and his wife both had blue eyes and their son had brown, I felt fucking stupid. I did not want to jump to conclusions, but when I made a post about my fears, everyone said that she was cheating. People said not to say anything because she'd use it to hide her cheating and get ahead of me on the divorce. I got the test and I didn't really think it'd come back negative. Then it did. I didn't want to believe it, but yeah, I pulled back. I felt betrayed. I wanted to be a good husband, but I couldn't shake this. I tried to find evidence of an affair and failed. I got another test. When that one was also negative, I snapped. If you've ever been cheated on, you know what it feels like. When my wife denied it, I got angrier. I just wanted her to leave. I didn't want to go through what everyone seemed to think was going to happen. I didn't want to lose custody of my kid. I didn't want to lose my house. I was scared and angry, and I wanted the truth. I felt like if she couldn't even be honest, there was no getting past this. I took a few hours to calm down. When she came back with a list of tests to take, I tried to keep my cool. I tried to keep my cool for so long. I know I was wrong about the affair, but so was everyone else in my ear. My kid is genuinely not biologically mine. I didn't immediately consider that switched at birth was an option. I've been through a messed up time, and I don't think getting angry one time because I thought my wife cheated and was lying about it makes me a monster. Hi, it's OP here again. I just want to say that one. I agree that he's not a monster, an abuser, or anything of the sort. 2. I do not agree that he's fat. I love this man very much and have for ages, and we are not going to let this situation break our marriage. Thank you to everyone for all your help. Story 3. I keep meeting my birth mom, but she doesn't know it's me. She had me when she was 14. And I, 24M, was given up for adoption. My parents told me about her growing up. I still have the letter she wrote me that she asked if they could give it to me if they wanted. It's crazy reading it sometimes and knowing it was a literal child who wrote it saying she's sorry she couldn't be my mommy, but she hopes I'm happy. She was open to having contact, but we moved for my dad's job when I was 11, and then it seemed impossible to find her. But luckily I did. She's working at this small restaurant and I keep going, but she doesn't know it's me. We talk sometimes, and she seems like a nice lady. Sometime when she says something like, "Do you want a refill, honey?" or uses another term like that, I want to tell her. IDK why it makes me nervous. We talk sometimes and she seems really genuine. If it's not super busy, she's more open to talking about random stuff. I literally drive 2 hours to come eat at this place just to see her. And it's like she knows me already because I'm there once or two times a week for the past 3 months, so she always says hi with a big smile. But man, if only she knew update 1. Well, I did it, I told her. And yeah, it was pretty heavy. My heart was even beating fast. I kept trying to think how to tell her. Many of the comments on my last post here mentioned writing her a letter, just how she wrote a letter for me. Originally that was the plan, but for me it felt like I needed to say it. Oh, really quick, I want to say thanks to everyone for their love and support, mostly to all the birth parents out there who shared their stories with me. That's what really helped push me to have the courage to confront her. It meant so much so, thanks. Everything happened day before yesterday, BTW. I did wait for her to be done with her shift, and that was when they were closing the restaurant already. Anne waited in the parking lot. We said hi when she saw me first, but then I told her there was something serious that she needed to know. First told her sorry for keeping it from her this long. She didn't react until I actually pulled out her letter, and she started bawling from there, like screaming and crying at the same time, and didn't even have to finish the whole "I'm your son" speech. She just saw it and knew. It was crazy. Next thing I know, she's hugging me instantly, but then she pulled back and asked if it's okay to hug me. See, it is, and we're just there hugging and crying in the parking lot. It hit her hard, though. Her legs gave out for a second, so I had to actually hold her up while she's still hugging me for a min. What really got me was her saying to me, "Look how big you got." Also, hearing her cry made me cry too. She went back to open the restaurant up. She wouldn't take no for an answer. We had coffee, ate a slice of their pie inside, and talked. So many stuff we talked about. She told me the second time I came to the restaurant she got a feeling, but for her it was hard to believe it was me. So that feeling she had was pushed way down. Because she told me for years after I was adopted, she saw kids that would be my age and used to think they were me. Then she would be crying in public. It fucked with her mind a lot and made her depressed, so she didn't want to do the same when she saw me getting her hopes up like that. She says I look so much like my biological dad when he was younger, though. We talked about him too. They stayed in contact with each other in case I ever reached out to one of them, so it would be easier to contact the other. I didn't have hope about finding my biological dad, since he was never mentioned, so I'm glad they both planned for this future scenario. She told me about how they wanted to keep me, especially my biological dad. He didn't want me to be adopted, but he knew they had to because they were just kids. It took him a long time to get past it after I was born, she told me. That's why he didn't leave anything, because he didn't want to believe he might not see me again. We talked for hours, till almost 2 in the morning. They closed at 11. She just wanted to know everything about me, but her main thing was, am I happy? Were my parents good to me? Did I have a happy childhood? And I did. I told her thank you for helping to give me this life. We both cried again. She cried the most. Everything was very emotional for her. Sometimes she would look really happy, but then get sad again. After my 18th birthday, she was hoping I would find her. That's why she stayed in the same city. But since I didn't, she always thought maybe I resented her, wasn't told I'm adopted, or maybe had decided it was better not to have her around. It made me feel bad for not telling her sooner. She told me it's not my fault and I did right going at my own pace. Honestly, she's so sweet. The way she kept looking at me with the biggest smile, it made me emotional sometimes. Makes you think, how can someone who's been a total stranger her whole life look at you with so much love? It's wild. We learned so much about each other. She asked me if we could have dinner soon to keep talking, and if at some point in the future, if I'm interested, come over to her house so I can meet her husband. That all sounded really great. We exchanged numbers. After I left, she sent a text telling me thank you for giving her this gift, that she didn't know if it would ever come. My girlfriend came over and she hugged me while I cried. I wasn't sad, BTW, these were happy tears. Everything went better than I expected. There was still emotionally heavy stuff, but I'm still glad that we got to open up to each other. Update 2. Met my biological dad for the first time ever, and I'm very happy about it. Update. Lots of you asked to let you know how it goes. Meeting my biological dad, and to say it was emotional, is an understatement. I've been feeling so many things since this all happened. We met a few days ago, was originally supposed to be almost 2 weeks ago, but shit kept coming up. Work, and then I got sick. Not COVID, for days. But we made it happen. TBH, this was more nervous for me because I didn't know anything about him. With my bio mom, it was different because I watched her from far and got to know her a little before it came out. I asked my bio mom if she could be there too, just because she knows him better, so it was the two of us waiting for him at this park. He was already crying before we even got to him. This guy is strong too, so he pulled me in for the biggest bear hug, and crying. He told me he wants me to know that they love me so much and he loves me. I lost count how many times he'd come back in for one more hug. This definitely got to him. And he kept saying, "Thank you, God," a few times, looking at my face. The feelings, man. The feelings. We had so many of them. Hearing him tell me how much they loved me even back then. It meant so much for me to hear that, and NGL that had me holding him tight too. I'm sure to everyone at the park it was weird seeing 3 crying people LOL. My bio dad said he cried so many times just driving over here he didn't think he had any more tears until he saw us. When we were all sitting down, it hit me that my bio mom was not lying when she said we look alike. Obviously, he's older, but still, holy shit, the similarities. He brought gifts too, which was a surprise. It was really nice he told me I don't have to keep them if I don't want it, but he felt weird not coming with anything, and he's wanted to give this to me for a long time. One was a teddy bear holding a picture frame of him at the hospital holding me. He was 15 years old. It's still crazy to realize that. And then the other thing was a journal. The journal thing was stuff he said he started writing to me years after I was adopted. He was in therapy, and that helped him to cope thinking he would give them to me one day. His way of still feeling connected to me. I haven't read everything yet, but some of the pages were his thoughts, and like if he's talking to me. How he felt when they found out she was pregnant, then the adoption, everything going on in his mind when he first got to hold me as a baby. I didn't even know he was at the hospital too. It was not what I was expecting. It really got me. I read some more of what he wrote last night that really got me crying. I'm sad to think how much this affected them emotionally for years. Also think it's pretty sweet he wanted to write this for me. We talked about his own life, which was pretty hard, his struggles with home life and the feelings he had about giving me up. Then he wanted to know everything about me, basically with the same questions my bio mom had. I made sure they knew they made the right decision, because my life was pretty great. He looked like he wanted to cry when he knew that, because that's all they hoped for, and it was something he always wondered about for years. My bio mom left a bit after we were more comfortable so we could talk more in private once it didn't feel too awkward between us. From there, he told me stories about how he met my bio mom. Sometimes he'd point out stuff he noticed about me that reminds him of her or me and him having similar likes. Example, I love eating mangoes. I can eat them all day, and that's what I bought when we bought snacks at the park. He told me my bio mom was obsessed with mangoes 7 before she got pregnant. While pregnant, she craved it even more. Just cool info to know, even if it's random stuff, lol. It's still stuff we have in common and we both have lots. Both like hiking, playing pool. He was a swimmer in college, and I was on a swim team in high school. Both love rock music, especially 90s. My bio dad was really open about sharing everything. Like he really was getting ready for this meeting. He hoped it would happen, and he prayed every day to see me again because he had so many things he wanted to tell me. Overall, really good first meeting. I'm glad how it went. He's open to the idea of meeting my parents. After I told them about all this, because they definitely want to meet my bio parents again if I'm comfortable with that. Obviously, if my bio parents are too. Let's see when that happens. IDK how it's going to feel for me. They've met each other before I was even born, but I never had them at the same place, so that'll be interesting, lol. Me and my parents met up yesterday to have breakfast so I could tell them everything. My mom was so happy how it went. She actually cried too when I was telling them about both their reactions. My dad was proud because he knew how hard it was the months after finding my bio mom and not really wanting to make contact yet. I'm really happy to have their support because it's hard not to feel guilty about wanting to know more my bio parents. They gave me a really good life, so for a while it's felt like maybe to them I'm showing them that wasn't good enough for me and I'd rather have my bio parents. But they told me many times they want me to do this for me and to know how much I love them, and I really do. Finding them and meeting them was hard, but it was so worth it to me. And seeing their reactions made it feel even more worth it. Still can't believe it sometimes. I'm just realizing this has turned into a long post. My bad, haha. Writing this has been therapeutic TBH. Kind of thinking back to everything that's happened. Feeling really grateful. Again, want to say thank you to everyone who has been on this journey with me. Everyone who sent me their own stories, their love, their encouragement. You guys have beautiful hearts, and I'm happy I had somewhere to talk about all this and receive so much love back. Just want to say to all the adopted kids out there, I wish you guys luck and that you find what you're looking for. It's not easy at all. I feel fortunate that things didn't go badly or that my bio parents aren't bad people. And to all the birth parents out there who made this sacrifice, thank you. It's because of you there are kids out there like me who got to have a great life with loving parents.